What a beautiful morning, the sun's up. It's cold and frosty. The birds are busy. The bees are the trees are full of bees. The bees are all around me. And the fresh flowers that are just coming out now are giving them the vital food source that they need right now to start building up the hive again. Funny there's not many on this tree here. I don't know why. Oh, there they are. They're up above. They're high where the sun is hitting the blossom higher up. So that's where they are. I packed some coffee and a couple of digestive biscuits just to keep me company. I thought I'd take a break from the workshop. The workshop is only a quarter of a mile to my right, and I've never seen so many people walking around this lake before, and it's because everybody's off work. Everybody's been told to stay home or go out to take their exercise, and so I'm taking my exercise now. And I just came away from the shop, and partly it was because I've been struggling. I've made 2 or 3 things this last 2 or 3 days, but I felt like they weren't me. I just made them, and they felt uninspired. And yet I wanted to make something for the young people who are off school and at home with their parents, and I thought maybe their parents would go out in the workshop and stir them up with a spokeshave and give them something to make, So I thought I could come up with something new, and I designed 3 different things, and they feel like they're lacking, and I think it's because we're all dogged by this coronavirus, and I wish it wasn't treated like a holiday, but treated seriously with sobriety. And it doesn't mean you can't have fun, it doesn't mean you can't spend time with your family, it doesn't mean you can't do woodworking. It just means that you have to treat it without being contemptuous, really, for any kind of authority that I know the British government. I can honestly say that the British government is absolutely doing its best to resolve this pandemic as best they can. They're down in Portadown, where they do the research for diseases and so on. I'm sure they're doing the same in America, they're doing the same in mainland Europe, trying to find a solution to this major problem. So I hope we can get through it, because it's a major issue. Cormorants, black-headed gulls, so many different varieties of birds here. Well, I just wanted to say that, when you've got these major issues going on in the world, I'm thankful we don't have a war as such, but we do have some union between all the different continents, the different countries, trying to find a solution to this common problem that we all have now. Is how do we stay safe? How do we keep everyone else safe? And we just have to obey the rules that people are offering to us, our governments are offering to us. Just for a season, that's all. It's just for a season. I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking to you about the coronavirus. We're in the middle of it. It's been going for a few weeks now, and we have been struggling through it here in Britain, and trying to set up some kind of precedents that would help our people in the UK, and then people who are away from us in other parts of the world. And it's quite troubling to see how much the virus has caused issues on many different fronts, not the least of which, of course, is the health issue that we all have to self-isolate as much as possible and keep social distancing and all these new terms that we never used to use before. But anyway, here we are, this is where we are, and I wanted to just look at something. I made this tool carrier probably 20 years ago now. I designed it for my students to develop their dovetailing skills, their mortise and tenon skills. It's got all kinds of little details and it's really a neat project. And it made me conscious of how many things we make as part of our daily life to make life easier for us. Most things have been designed by man for man, and I get into arguments sometimes when people will come back at me when I say something like that and say, well, birds design their nests and animals design their places to live or things to do things with, but they really don't. They don't have that forethought in that way. They don't have this design capacity that we have. They have things woven into their DNA that makes them build the same nest. If it's a hummingbird or a blackbird, they make the same nest just using more local materials, but it doesn't mean it's a different nest. They just use what is naturally available to them. But we design things, and this was a piece that I designed because I wanted students to learn to make the dovetails and the mortise and tenon joints, and there's a housing dado in there too, which is, so it combines all the three joints, and then we've got grooves and cross grain cuts and all manner of things that went into this one. This was my original one, and this is what I just made recently in the last few days. So this has a small tool box in there, a little tray till, and then this one I have with a little divider in, which you can put in or not, for my chisels and some longer pieces. And then down in the bottom, in the cavities, I've got my planes, I've got a gent saw, I've got spoke shave, things like that. So I'm hoping that this will be interesting to you because it's an old piece, but it really works very nicely. It's heavy, that's the only thing, but it's not too heavy to carry from place to place, especially now we'd carry it from a car to somebody's house or to our workshop, from the part of our workshop to another part, things like that. So what am I doing today? I've just been trying to think. I'm working on a new rocking chair. I'm working on the design, and I've got these concepts floating through my brain the whole time, all the day long. I keep looking at this rocker and I see a rocker formulated here, and I see an arm coming in there, and rocking chairs without arms are not very comfortable unless it's a working rocking chair, and in that case you would be using it to weave baskets or sit on the front porch if you were in America, which is probably, I'm guessing there are more rocking chairs in America than any other country in the world. We did have a little bit of a reputation for having a rocking chair, but it was more associated with nursing a baby than and relaxing maybe more recently. But it wasn't really a slouch chair, it was really more a chair that you could lean forward and pick up your weavers and weave your basket, lean forward and pick up more, put something down, pick something up, put tools down, that kind of thing. And so that was our primary use for it in America, that is. I say our because I consider myself to be both British and American, in the sense that I lived there for as much of my working life as I did in the UK. Just let those wings soak in the warmth of the sun. And just as I said it, the sun went in. I'm getting my garden ready. It's very windy. I'm hoping it's not going to disturb the sound too much, but I did this just over a year ago. Oh no, just under a year ago, and I got a really good crop of potatoes, and now I've got a few were still in the ground, and this will give you an idea of what I've got. Nice homegrown potatoes. So I'll pick up a few. I'll probably pick up a few that got left in the ground from pulling them last year, and I still have enough that'll carry me through till probably another 6 weeks, I think, just from this small patch here is where I got my potatoes from. So it wasn't very much, but that's kept me in potatoes for about 5 months really. I don't eat a lot because of my diabetes, but I do have them every day. So it's a small thing to plant a small plot like this. Plant them a foot apart, and see, here's another, just a small one, but this will be the equivalent of a new potato. So it's not very big, but it's definitely a meal. I don't usually wear gloves when I'm digging, but I got a little cut on my finger, so I've been a bit wimpy about it. Here's something I wanted to show you. This is where I missed a plant. So there's one. Two, decent size that, isn't it? Three. So that's just fits in my hand like that. And then 4. So I'll leave the dirt on. You don't clean the dirt off. So I got 5 potatoes from that one. One fell off here. And that's just from a potato I planted that would have been about this size. So a little bit bigger than a golf ball. And look what I got. Nice, eh? So that's my first half of the patch dug. I've got that half, which will be harder because it's not been dug before. I'll do that next weekend. And this is what I harvested from the garden. So I planted about 1/3 of that many, but just smaller ones. So maybe the same number, but 1/3 of a size smaller than the biggest one. And that gave me enough potatoes probably for about 4 or 5 months. And these will be like new potatoes, because these were just left in the ground and continued growing. So there we are. My garden is dug for this week. I may do a little bit more later. Oh, well, I will be doing some more later. So now I'm just going to wash these a little bit. The ones that I'm going to eat in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to wash those now. So there we go. It's been great. Thank you for listening. If you have been watching, you're very important to me, you guys. But I don't want to just give you woodworking. I want to give you my whole life while I'm still here. And I don't say that pessimistically at all. I've had a very, very good life, and actually I've never felt so healthy, I think, in my whole life than I do now. So that's a very nice feeling to have. I'm going to clean these off and then use the splits first, because they don't last. If you don't eat them within a few days, they start to go off, and I think that's a shame to lose them. So splits are just where, what a split is where you caught them with the spade or the fork. I use a fork for harvesting. I don't usually use a spade because they do cut them clean in two. And that's what I do. Is this is my harvest time. The reason I think these carried over longer is because we did have such a very, very mild winter. It was totally mild. There you go, look at this beautiful homegrown potato. And I'm sitting on the pine garden bench that I made. Do you remember we made a prototype garden bench and the oak one is sitting over there, and the oak one is looking very sorry because it's being bleached by the sun and the rain and everything. But I'm doing a trial between these two to see whether this one or this is pine with 3 coats of Sandelin outdoor varnish on it. So I'm going to see, I'm just going to leave this now. I might recoat it in 3 or 4 years time depending on how it looks, and I'm going to see which one lasts the longer. So I've got to come back here, I've got to be here, haven't I, in 2029, right, to show you what the result is. So that'll be fun. These are nice. I'm on my bike ride and taking my exercise, and I saw these guys and I thought you might like to see them with me.